Howdy, guys. Welcome to night 18 in the Big Brother house, Saturday night, Sunday morning. This is Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. We're going to cover everything that occurred this evening on the overnight feeds. Uh, kind of a quiet night. They did get their backyard, which is always exciting for the house guest. But we had the veto competition a little bit earlier. And at this point, people are a little more chill, but we've still got a few conversations we'll cover. And because I think we've got a little time, at the suggestion of one of the viewers, I'm actually going to try to cover the alliances that exist in the house right now. Wish me luck on that one, guys. All right, so let's start it off. For those of you who may not know, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but shouldn't be probably listening to this if you don't want spoilers anyway. But we did have the veto competition earlier today, and the winner is, drum roll, Cody. Cody won the veto ceremony, or the veto competition. So once again, the power is staying with those alliances, kind of the new school side of the house. I know there are a lot of people, myself included, that would have loved to have seen Kaysar or Janelle win this thing just to balance power out a little bit and have some fun, but it wasn't to be. Apparently, it was some kind of competition, a timed competition involving cupcakes as a puzzle that you had to stack them and move them back and forth on different posts and get them stacked up correctly, something along those lines. It almost sounds like it was more, perhaps some kind of head-to-head. Maybe it was straight-up time, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit as well. But Cody won that. Now, an interesting statistic, and this comes from Taryn Armstrong with RHAP, and I saw it earlier tonight, and I thought it was worth repeating. So far in this house, we've had 9 competitions, of which 8 of them have been won by men. We're going to talk about guys' alliance and fears about that a little bit, but from a competition standpoint, so far the guys are winning quite a few, and we probably still don't have some of the really difficult endurance type competitions, slip and slide, some things like that. So we shall see, but just keep an eye on the statistics with that. All right, so some conversations. Let's talk. Oh, no, one more thing. They had the safety competition yesterday. Enzo won. Christmas was the +1, which means Christmas received her punishment today. As punishment, Christmas is going to be taking care of Baby Star. I've heard Baby Star, Star Abbott, a few different names, but a little plush star comes with a crib, a stroller, diapers, food, and Christmas is responsible. Yeah, remember back in high school, you had to take care of a lemon or whatever. It's the same kind of deal. Every time this little baby cries, she has to take it and walk with it or feed it. Later this evening, she in the middle of the night, she had to get up and walk the baby. I think she had to make 50 laps in the backyard with this baby before she could put it back to bed. So she's probably having fun. I think some of the other house guests aren't having a lot of fun with it. It's kind of irritating watching the feeds cut off to her to do that. But hey, Christmas putting her punishment. Apparently, it's all week long. So have fun with that one. All right. So now some actual conversations that we do want to talk about. One. Now, this is a little bit interesting. Enzo, Cody, and Tyler spent quite a bit of time earlier in the evening up in the HOH room having a few discussions. We talked about the guys have been winning some comps, have had a little bit of power so far. They're worried that if Janelle goes home this week, that's 3 women in a row they'll go home, and they're worried that the women, including the women in their own alliance, are going to get worried about that. Tyler is suggesting, saying, hey, let's let Danny and Nicole decide whether it's Kaysar or Janelle that goes home, so they don't feel like we're pushing this women out the door kind of situation. But Enzo comes up at the counterpoint. He is very worried that if Janelle stays in the house, that the women are going to kiss up to her, to be buddy up to Janelle, and that Janelle's going to try to leverage that or convince those women that, hey, you need to send a guy out the door. You need to keep this thing balanced. So they're a little bit worried about that as well. But obviously the gender issue is something that continues to be a discussion point. They also are worried if they send Kaysar out the door and Janelle stays, they are worried that safety suite's gone. There's going to be a new power next week, and they feel like Janelle could win a power if it involves any kind of vote from the American public. And so they're a little bit worried that Janelle's going to get power if they keep her for too long. And they may be right. So keep an eye on that. Talking about the women and the players, Cody mentions they all talk about that Danny is tight with everyone in that house. She has a good relationship. As a result, she may not feel the pressure to win as much as other people because they're saying no one's going to nominate Danny. She's safer right now. They think that she's the best female player in the game. She's super smart, and obviously when you start talking about someone like that, it means that you're getting on some people's radar, and Danny may very well be just that. And I've heard discussions in previous nights where they said, I'm not sure how much we can trust Danny, and now they're talking about how smart and what a great player she is. So obviously, we're starting to see some pecking orders continue to establish themselves within all these different alliances. All right, other conversations within that group. They're feeling safe that Ian's not going to nominate any of these guys who are up in the house talking. But they also are saying, we cannot let that guy get to the end. He's already won once. He will do it again. So that's a concern. They mentioned, and this gets back to the veto competition, they think that Memphis tried to throw the veto to Janelle, which makes me wonder if this comp may have been some kind of head-to-head of some sort. Not sure of that, but they, and then later, I think Kevin and Davon are saying the same thing. They all think Memphis may have thrown the competition. So he doesn't want to have the power to have to pull or not pull Kaysar or Janelle off the block. So they think he threw it, and we'll see when they show it on the episode broadcast. They're saying that, again, this is Enzo, Cody, and Tyler. They're saying that Davon is just paranoid, that she likes to be the information broker. I mentioned that another evening, control what everyone is saying and communicating. But they said she's having some problems keeping her story straight. And so they're kind of keeping an eye on Davon. They're also saying that Davon just doesn't seem to trust the guys. So we'll see what happens with that. Christmas came in at this point, and after a little just small talk, she said that she thinks Janelle needs to go because she thinks that Kaysar's been very aggressive talking to people, very forceful, and may have rubbed some people the wrong way, she thinks. Whereas she thinks Janelle is a little more reserved. Picture that with Janelle being called reserved. But yeah, she thinks Janelle is perhaps going to be easier to integrate with everyone, with the rest of the house if she stays. She says she doesn't care about the women's alliance. She doesn't care if it's 3 women that go home straight, because she said none of those women ever approached me for alliance, so why do I care? Send her out the door. So Christmas is voting for Janelle. I feel like the general mood of the house right now is the fear of Janelle is still strong enough that she probably is primary target over Kaysar at this point. Maybe we'll be proven wrong, but right now I think that is the case. All right, another conversation. Bailey and Kaysar and Janelle are talking in the have-not room. Bailey's saying, and I thought this was interesting because they're talking about maybe what they would do going forward. Bailey says that she would like to put up Ian and Nicole if she was HOH in order to get one of them out the door. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Ian and Nicole are getting seen as well by some of the people. Janelle says she really thinks she's going home this week, but if she had her way about her, if she had an HOH, she would love to put Nicole and Enzo on the block with Cody as a backup if Enzo came off. It's kind of interesting. I guess maybe she's worried about Cody and his competition's ability. She'd rather backdoor Cody rather than put him up straight up with Nicole Franzel. But anyway, she's probably not going to get the chance to do it. But that was just some of the thinking of Janelle if she had the power. I hate that we may not get to see that exhibited, but it is what it is. All right. Janelle and Kaysar talking more. They had a long conversation. They had actually talked a lot this evening. Janelle and Kaysar, a little bit with strategy and such. But all right, I'll tell you one real quick. Janelle says, "Look, I'm probably going home, but here's the thing, Kaysar. When you have to pick someone for the new have-not, please make it Nicole and say this is straight from Janelle. This is Janelle's final gift to you. You're a have-not, Nicole." And Kaysar says, "Well, I thought you wanted me to try to blend back in." And Janelle says, "Yeah, that I do, but do it after you make her a have-not. Just do that as a final parting gift for me." So that's kind of funny. But most of their conversation was not necessarily game-related. It was just talking about what are we doing here, and I've had so much fun playing with you, and just very heartfelt. Kaysar spent a lot of time talking about what's he doing here. He misses his family, wonders what his son's up to. Neither one is saying they came for the money. They came for the experience, and this isn't really what they wanted. They spent a lot of time talking about how badly they feel about Nicole Anthony and how her game finished up and all the issues that we're aware of with Nicole and trust between Janelle and Kaysar. I like these two people. Janelle and Kaysar, I truly feel if I'd been in the house this season, I would have been aligning with that side of the house and those two people. They're just incredible people. Just Cliff Hogg's own personal opinion. All right, so talking a little bit more, Nicole complaining to Christmas. She was a little upset last night because she felt like Bailey was trying to blame Nicole for for talking about Davon and David perhaps having a little bit of a flirtmance and felt like she was getting a blame for trying to hurt Davon's game. Well, now there was another conversation last night as well. She's now complaining to Christmas that Bailey had said something to Nicole Franzel about the way Nicole played the game and said, yeah, it took a few tries, it took a few guys, but here you are. And Nicole didn't like that. And she complained to Christmas about it. She said, apparently, I guess Bailey came to Nicole and said, hey, I apologize. I didn't mean anything by that. And Nicole said, well, okay, but I still kind of feel funny about it, which means that it's probably still something that's going to stick in her craw, so to speak. So we did have that conversation. All right, checking my time here, guys, because I want to get to everything, all right? All right, so what else? Davon and Kevin spent forever in the hammock in the backyard talking. At one point, Davon got called to the diary room. She came back, and they got back in the hammock. I mean, literally, guys, hours it seems like they were out there. Davon did say at one point she was drinking some of Tyler's seltzer water, I think, Setzer, the hard stuff. And she said after a few beers, she said, all right, Kevin, you may be right. I am kind of attracted to David. She said he had a James Earl Jones kind of voice. And she said, now, that's for inside the house. This isn't for anything outside the house. It's just because I'm bored in here. But, I'm kind of attracted to David. And Kevin said, yeah, I told you so. I knew you were. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll see. There may be a showmance in this house after all. Hey, you can't get away from it, big brother. No matter how hard you try, you're still going to maybe get a showman. But I don't think they tried that hard. They're both saying, now, all right, a little more games talk. They're both saying that they would love to backdoor Memphis if they got a chance. They're saying as well that they think he threw the veto in the competition today. They mentioned also, now this is they mentioned that they think Ian and Nicole Franzel are too close. They're in that millionaire club, and I think they're too close. They're saying they really want Nicole to be gone, because if they do, that happens, and suddenly Ian becomes a free agent, and it's more likely to work with them. And that's a valid point, and it may be something that we see put into play at some point going forward. I got a couple of minutes, so you think I can really talk about all these alliances in a couple of minutes? We're going to try. I'm going to try to spell as many as I can, somewhat fast, but we'll do it. All right, let's start with, and I'm only going to talk about the named alliances, because otherwise I'd be here for hours. So we've got the Connect. The Connect is Enzo, Cody, Bailey, and Davon. We then have the Slick Six, which are those four plus Tyler and Danny. So again, Enzo, Cody, Bailey, Davon, Tyler, and Danny are the Slick Six, one of the big alliances. Then you have the Commission, which is Cody and Memphis. But within, or bigger than the Commission, you then have the Committee, which again is Memphis and Cody, but also Tyler and Christmas and Danny and Nicole. You've heard those names in what we just talked about, right? You also have Team Freeze, which is kind of the guys' alliance. That's Enzo and Tyler and Cody. You also have the Root, which is Enzo and Cody. And in addition to the Root, add on Danny and Nicole, and then you have the core four. Can you imagine all this? You also have Nicole and Ian and Cody and Danny, I think, is the prime four. That's the alliance that just formed last night. Is that it? Oh my gosh, I think so. Oh, and then you've got Ian and Nicole in the Millionaires. So there you go. I think a lot of alliances. You hear the same names over and over in different configurations. 16 people and 50 different alliances. So you're going to have a lot of shared commonalities. All right, guys, that wraps it up this evening. Just as I did want to mention again, I do a show on TV Code, the free app, Mondays nights, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Go out, find the app. Come watch me. I spend an hour talking Big Brother, some travel stories, question Q&A, so participation with the audience, all that. I have a blast doing that show. Guys, y'all have a great Sunday. I will see y'all bright and early Monday morning to give you another overnight feeds wrap up. Have a great one, guys. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.